Stop scrolling. If your cat only eats from the dead center of the bowl and leaves the edges like it's a crime scene, you are being psychologically profiled. Subscribe right now before your cat realizes you're onto them. Okay, let's talk about it. You pour fresh food. It looks perfect. Michelin star presentation, 5-star Yelp energy. And what does your cat do? They walk up, lean in, and eat only the exact middle. The edges, untouched, like the crust on a toddler's sandwich. At first, you think it's random. Maybe they're just quirky. Maybe they're doing some kind of feline intermittent fasting. But no, there is a hidden psychological reason behind this behavior. And once you understand it, you will never look at your cat the same way again. First, we need to talk about something called whisker sensitivity. Your cat's whiskers are not just cute face accessories. They are highly sensitive sensory tools. Each whisker is connected to nerve endings that send signals to the brain about space, pressure, and movement. Think of them like built-in proximity sensors. Your cat is basically a furry Tesla. Now imagine this. When your cat sticks their face into a deep bowl, their whiskers brush against the sides. Constantly. Over and over. To us, that's nothing. To them, that's sensory overload. It's called whisker fatigue. And yes, that sounds dramatic, but it's real. When those whiskers keep hitting the bowl edges, it can feel overwhelming. So what does your cat do? They avoid the edges completely. They eat from the center because that's the one spot where their whiskers aren't being bombarded by contact. Your cat isn't picky. They're protecting their nervous system. But wait, it gets deeper, because this behavior isn't just about physical discomfort. It's also about control. Cats are hyper-aware animals. In the wild, eating is a vulnerable moment. Head down, vision limited, focus locked in. If something sneaks up behind them, that's game over. So what does the center of the bowl represent? Maximum awareness. When your cat eats from the center, they can position their body so they have a better view of their surroundings. They're not pushing their face into a corner. They're keeping their field of vision open. Your living room might feel safe to you, but to your cat, it's a potential jungle with a suspicious ceiling fan. Now let's talk about shape psychology. Most bowls are curved inward. That means as food shifts toward the edges, it becomes slightly harder to access without pressing into the sides. The center is the easiest, most accessible spot. Your cat is efficient, minimal effort, maximum reward. That's not laziness. That's elite energy conservation. If your cat had LinkedIn, their bio would say, Strategic Resource Optimization Specialist. And here's something even more interesting. Some cats will eventually create a ring of untouched food around the bowl, and owners panic. Why aren't you finishing your food? Is something wrong? Do you need a vet? No. Your cat just reached their whisker tolerance threshold. It's like when you're wearing skinny jeans and after 3 hours you're done. Not because you're full, not because you're tired, but because the pressure is too much. Your cat hits that same sensory wall, and instead of suffering through it, they simply stop. Boundary setting. We love to see it. Now here's the psychological twist. Cats thrive on predictability and control. Eating from the center creates a consistent, controlled experience. They know exactly where the food is. They don't have to chase it along the sides. They don't have to deal with uneven textures pressed against the bowl wall. It's clean. It's centered. It's stable. Your cat is curating their dining experience. And yes, this is the same animal that will knock over a glass of water at 3 a.m. Complexity. Another factor? Depth perception. When food gets pushed to the edges, especially in deep bowls, it can create shadows. Cats rely heavily on contrast and movement to judge space. If the food is pressed into a shadowy curve, it becomes less visually appealing and slightly harder to track. The center? Bright. Visible. Easy. Your cat's brain chooses the clearest target. Now let's address the myth that this means your cat is spoiled. No. This behavior shows cognitive precision. Cats are micro-optimizers. They constantly assess environment, pressure, sound, and space. If the center of the bowl feels safer, more comfortable, and easier to access, that's where they'll eat. It's not attitude, it's adaptation. And here's where it gets even more interesting for multi-cat households. If you have more than one cat, eating from the center can also be about speed. The center allows faster bites without interference, less friction, less adjustment, quick intake. In competitive environments, efficiency matters, even if your other cat is asleep across the house, because cats plan ahead. Now you might be wondering, okay, so what do I do with this information? Simple. Try a shallow wide bowl, sometimes called a whisker-friendly dish. When the sides are lower, whisker contact decreases. Many owners notice their cats suddenly start finishing all the food, edges included. It's not magic. It's comfort engineering. You can even test it. Put the same food on a flat plate one day. Watch how your cat eats. You'll likely see them explore more of the surface without hesitation. That's your proof. You just ran a behavioral experiment in your kitchen. Welcome to Feline Psychology 101. But there's one last layer to this. Routine. Cats are creatures of habit. If they've always eaten from the center, it becomes part of their pattern. And cats love patterns. Patterns equal safety. So even if whisker fatigue isn't extreme, the behavior can stick simply because it's familiar. And changing that requires gradual adjustments, not sudden swaps. Cats don't respond well to chaos. They are tiny, judgmental life coaches who believe in structured living. So next time you see that untouched ring of food, don't roll your eyes. Don't assume they're dramatic. Don't start narrating in a sarcastic voice like you're in a reality show. Your cat is making calculated decisions, sensory comfort, environmental awareness, energy efficiency, visual clarity, habit formation, all in one tiny action. And here you thought they were just being weird. If this made you look at your cat differently, subscribe before your cat audits your search history, because we break down the psychology behind the tiny behaviors you never questioned. And tonight, when you refill that bowl, watch closely. Your cat isn't just eating, they're analyzing. The edges of the bowl? Completely untouched. Like your cat looked at that food and said, "Yeah, I'm not going over there." If your cat does this, you're not alone. And the reason behind it is actually way more psychological than most people realize. Another interesting thing some owners notice is that their cat leaves a full ring of food around the bowl. They'll eat the center completely, then walk away like the job is done. That usually happens when the remaining food requires them to push their whiskers into the bowl edges again. Instead of dealing with that discomfort, they simply stop eating. To humans, it looks like picky behavior. To cats, it's just avoiding unnecessary sensory stress. Now here's where things get practical for cat owners. One simple change can make a big difference. The type of bowl you use. Wide, shallow dishes reduce whisker contact. When the sides are lower and farther away from the whiskers, many cats feel more comfortable eating the entire portion instead of just the center. Some owners even switch to flat plates and notice their cat suddenly finishing all their food. It's a small environmental change, but it aligns better with how cats naturally experience the world. And finally, there's habit. Cats love routines. If they've been eating from the center of the bowl for a long time, it becomes part of their pattern. Even if the bowl changes, they may still start in the center simply because that's what their brain expects. Cats are creatures of consistency. Which is funny, because this is the same animal that will sprint through your house at 3 a.m. for absolutely no reason. So the next time your cat leaves a perfect ring of food around the bowl, don't assume they're being dramatic or picky. They're responding to whisker sensitivity, comfort, awareness, and efficiency all at the same time. It's a tiny behavior with surprisingly deep instincts behind it. And once you understand it, that weird little eating habit suddenly makes a lot more sense. Because your cat isn't just eating from the center randomly, they're choosing the spot that feels safest, easiest, and most comfortable for them.